My name is Ashley Helthall, Doctor of Audiology from ENT and Allergy Associates in the Parsippany location. Some of my favorite patients, David Sopsey. Thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Sure, I'm delighted to be here and share my experiences and be able to tell everybody how great it's been being a patient here.
So how long have you had a hearing loss?
About 15 years ago, I started noticing a lot of ringing in my ears. And at first I didn't really notice any change in my ability to hear, but the ringing in the ears interfered with the ability to hear. So I spoke to someone that was in the industry who told me that hearing aids really didn't help with tinnitus. This person wasn't a hearing professional and didn't really know what they were talking about, so fortunately I was able to get to an audiologist who prescribed hearing aids, and we went from there.
And you noticed a difference with them?
Huge difference. My hearing loss was gradual, and I think a lot of people who experience gradual hearing loss don't realize how much they're not hearing, right? It's not quite as vivid and easy to notice as losing your sight. Things become blurry, things become less distinct. With hearing, it's a little more subtle. If the hearing loss is from an injury or an illness and happens all at once, I'm sure that's very noticeable, but gradual hearing loss is more difficult to notice, and that was true in my case. So the first time I had hearing aids on, I couldn't believe all that I had been missing. The amount of sound that I didn't even realize was there was quite extraordinary.
I mean, just thinking about that, when you got your pair with me, it was only a few years difference in technology, but when we put them on, you noticed a huge difference.
The difference was huge. This is my third pair of hearing aids, and like with all technology, technology is evolving and advancing and becoming more sophisticated, and these by far are the best hearing aids I've ever had. The quality of the sound is much more natural. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing something that's amplifying the sound. It just feels more natural and much nicer.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
So how did you choose ENT and allergy? How did you learn about us?
Okay. My wife had an ear infection and she needed to see a doctor. So she found on her insurance, your practice. We came and she saw Dr. Bryce. I had been living in Virginia, and my audiologist and my ENT doctors were in Virginia. I'd been living in New Jersey for a while, so I decided it was time to have a local doctor. I went to see Dr. Bryce for some wax removal and felt like she was just really terrific, very thorough, very gentle and very caring, and having wax removed from your ear sometimes can be a little uncomfortable. I thought she did a great job. And so it had been a number of years since I had had a hearing test, and so she suggested that I see you to have a hearing test and be evaluated and see if I needed to change anything.
Good. And the whole process of getting hearing aids and everything like that went pretty smooth?
Very smooth. I'm lucky that I have insurance that pays for hearing aids. Not all insurance plans do. But you and the practice were able to manage the process of working with my insurance company, making sure that all of the administrative stuff was taken care of, and it went very smoothly.
So that you're an experienced user with hearing aids, I'm sure you have a lot of realistic expectations that you can tell other prospective users or even current users who don't really understand that hearing aids are not the ear. It's an aid. Right.
I guess for people that have never worn hearing aids before, in terms of setting expectations, no matter how good technology is, it's remarkable how great the human ear is. So the hearing aids are wonderful in enabling people that are really challenged in terms of their hearing to be able to hear and, have normal conversations and experience life normally, but they're not ears, right? There's still some trade-offs in terms of being able to hear things that your ears might pick up, directions of noise and things like that. But for someone as hearing challenged as I am, I live a normal life. Socially I'm able to interact with people. I'm able to go to parties, have normal hearing interactions at work. So, I would not be functioning normally if I didn't have hearing aids. And in terms of these particular hearing aids, the Phonak hearing aids, the quality of these hearing aids is remarkable. You told me that you thought I'd be very happy with them, and you were right.
Yes.
The biggest differences between these hearing aids and my old hearing aids are when I'm in a noisy environment. My old hearing aids weren't able to distinguish between the ambient noise in the environment and the noise that I wanted to focus on, someone's voice, maybe a television set or something like that. These hearing aids, it's amazing how well they do filter and help you focus on the sounds that you really want to hear.
Right.
Sound is much more natural. I think that's something that I told you that I
Yes.
was really taken by how much more natural sound sounded again. It didn't sound mechanical and amplified. It was very natural.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love about these hearing aids is they're Bluetooth. So my hearing aids are paired with my phone at all times. I answer my phone calls through my hearing aids. The hearing aids enable me to both stream the audio and the sound from the call and from my voice are both picked up by the hearing aid. So,
Yes. So
it's
basically-
completely hands-free.
Yes, so
Yep.
basically it's completely handfree.
Right.
You just have to have the phone within like 15 or 20 feet.
I've never walked too
Yeah.
far away from my phone that the Bluetooth still wasn't connected. It's great.
Yeah.
Also, anything from my phone that a podcast, music, anything that my phone can stream, it streams directly to my hearing aids. So I ride in my car and listen to podcasts or music, and my phone streams them to my hearing aids. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I know we, kind of touched base on like, having hearing aids and the change with hearing aids, but a lot of patients are nervous or there's a stigma associated with hearing aids. Can you just kind of touch base or go, explain more about that and
Sure.
why people should go ahead and get hearing aids?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, if anyone's viewing this video right now, I bet you can't see that I'm wearing hearing aids. Like most technology, the size of the hearing aids is reduced so much that they're behind my ear, but no one can see them, certainly from the front, from the back, maybe a little bit. So the idea that people are going to notice that you're wearing hearing aids, it's not going to happen. Secondly, there's some stigma associated with hearing aids that I don't know if it's aging, I don't know if it's just vanity, I don't know, maybe people who have problems wearing glasses might feel the same way, but if you are hearing challenged and you need something to help you have a more normal life, get hearing aids. You won't believe the difference in the quality of your life, the quality of your interactions with your family, your friends, your work associates. The world becomes a normal place again, rather than a place that's constantly frustrating and you're not able to hear. So I couldn't encourage people more to get hearing aids if you notice that you're having a hearing loss. For people who are already wearing hearing aids, I would encourage you to go to your doctor if it's been a number of years since you've had a hearing test. I would encourage you to go see if your hearing has gotten worse, and also check out the newest technologies. It had been about 3 years since I had changed hearing aids, and the advancements that had occurred in those 3 years was remarkable in terms of the quality of the aids.
Mm-hmm. Just to kind of touch base with, the stigma associated with hearing loss and things like that. I've had hearing loss since I was 5. I've worn hearing aids up until September of 2018. I now have cochlear implants. But one thing that I've noticed growing up and working with people with hearing loss is that it's a lot more noticeable when you don't wear hearing aids. You're constantly leaning in, you're constantly asking what.
Right.
You're isolating yourself, and that's a lot
Right.
more noticeable than having hearing aids and being part of the conversation.
Definitely. That makes me think of a couple things. One is, if the people that are viewing this are experiencing hearing loss, you probably have experienced a phenomenon that I call smile and nod.
Yes.
You're in a social situation, people are saying things to you, you just don't hear them, but it's gotten to the point where you don't like to constantly ask people to repeat themselves, so you just kind of smile and nod and pretend like you heard them. Hearing aids make that go away. You'll have much higher quality social interactions. The other thing I wanted to mention is you're my third audiologist. there are certain kinds of people that should be caregivers. There's certain kinds of people who shouldn't. You are definitely a person who should be.
Thank you.
Your patience and the caring that you bring to the interactions that we have, it's amazing. And one of the things I think is that the other two audiologists I had were not hearing challenged, right? So they may not have been able to sympathize and relate as much as someone like yourself who has had hearing challenges. So I think that you bring that little extra kind of knowledge and empathy and experience to the interaction with your patients because you know what it's like to have hearing challenges.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole reason I went into this field, so.
Right.
I'm glad that you see it, because
definitely.
Otherwise, what's the point of being here?
Yep, I agree.
Yes.
I'd also like to add that this practice, ENT and Allergy Associates, is really obviously committed to bringing a lot of different tools to the customer interaction. I can book my appointments online, which I personally find really great. I don't have to, call, maybe be put on hold. I can book my appointments whenever it's convenient for me. The app works great. I always get a reminder email and a reminder text. The reminders allow me to check in online, so when I come to the practice, all I need to do is walk up and say, I'm David Sopsey and I have an appointment. That's it. I take my seat, in a couple minutes I'm seen. I find that really great. So I just want to also compliment the practice on their commitment to making the patient experience as smooth as possible. It's been great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if you're looking for any more information or if you're experiencing hearing loss, please visit our website, entandallergy.com, or call us at 973-394-1818.